Hello everyone, Jeff with the Green Review here. Isn't this a pretty plant? The question is, what kind of plant is it? Some of you will call it a Christmas cactus, some will call it a Thanksgiving cactus or a holiday cactus, and some will even call it a crab cactus. There are about 6 to 10 species in this genus. They are epiphytic tropical cacti from the coastal mountains overlooking the Atlantic Ocean in southern Brazil in the genus Schellenbergera. You might still find them listed in catalogs or on the internet in the zygocactus genus that has been out of date since the 1950s. Most of the species in this group have flat stem segments that have a central core with a pair of wings on the sides. Some segments may have 3 wings. There are no spines, although some varieties have clumps of bristles at the ends of the stem segments. Some of the species have stem segments that would look like most of us would recognize as a cactus stem, including clusters of thorns or spines. As plants from these species started arriving in Europe around 1818, by the 1850s a guy named Buckley had succeeded in creating hybrids between some of the species that have become known as the Christmas cactus. There are now more than 1,500 varieties and hybrids of these species. The 3 most popular groups are the Thanksgiving cactus, the Christmas cactus, and the Easter cactus. These 3 groups have flat stem segments where photosynthesis occurs because none of these species have leaves. The Thanksgiving cactus group has large teeth on the edges of the stem segments, which is why some people call them the crab cactus. The flowers of the Thanksgiving cactus are not symmetrical. They have more petals on the top of the flower than on the bottom. They raise them up. When you watch my time-lapse video of these flowers opening, they look like they're floating up on the wind. There's links to that video in the description and at the end of this video. And the Thanksgiving cactus has yellow pollen on the anthers. The Christmas cacti group have stem segments with rounded indentations on the edge and no teeth. The flowers are symmetrical with flower petals all around the central core of anthers and pistil, and the pollen is pink. The Easter cactus group has slightly wavy edges to the stem segments. The flowers have 1 set of petals that open at the end of the flower and form a complete circle of petals. Now, in spite of what I just said, there are many hybrid crosses that you may find that some of your plants have characteristics from more than one group, such as this plant that has similar flowers in shape to a Christmas cactus, but with yellow pollen and pointy stem segments like a Thanksgiving cactus. The Thanksgiving cactus group blooms in the fall into early winter and may bloom again in the spring. The Christmas cactus group blooms later from early winter until late winter and may bloom again in the spring. The Easter cactus group blooms in the spring. In their native habitat, the tube-shaped flowers of these cacti attract hummingbirds. To get them to bloom, the Thanksgiving and Christmas cactus groups need shorter days like we get in the fall, and cooler temperatures like we get in the fall. Give them short days and long nights for a few weeks. 13-hour nights will promote flower bud production, and temperatures down into the 60s will help promote flower buds. Temperatures down into the 50s, especially at night, may cause the flowers of white and yellow varieties to turn pink and darken the color of pink and red varieties. Thanksgiving and Christmas cacti are easy to grow as houseplants, while the Easter cactus group is harder. Give them the normal household temperatures in the winter with bright light like near a window. They can go outdoors in the summer, but do not put them in full sun as they will burn. Even though they're cacti, they're not dry climate cacti. They're tropical rainforest cacti. They grow on other plants and maybe even on rocks in bright but shady conditions. The soil should be lightweight mix like potting soil used for African violets or an orchid mix. They can be left in the same pot for many years. This plant has been in this pot for over a decade. They can tolerate a little drying out of the soil, but keeping it slightly damp is better. The Easter cactus is more sensitive to soil that is too wet or too dry. They will drop stem segments in either case. They're all easy to propagate. Just break off a stem with a few segments. Let it dry out for a day so that the cut end callus is over. Then it can be placed in water, damp sand or damp perlite for a few weeks. When you see the roots, you can plant it into a pot with potting soil. These cacti are mostly insect and disease free. They may get mealybugs, spider mites, or aphids. If the plant is not doing well, look for aphids or mealybugs in the root system. If they're overwatered, they may get root rotting fungi. Overall, these are easy to grow houseplants that have pretty flowers. So if your plant collection isn't complete until you have one. And this is Jeff with a Green Review.